caverns cold, to dungeons deep and caverns old.
Before we get into the plot of the book, let's first talk about the main characters in this novel. The main characters of this novel are Bilbo Baggins, Gandalf the Wizard, Smaug the Evil Dragon, and Thorin Oakenshield. Bilbo Baggins is the hero and protagonist of this entire novel. Bilbo is a hobbit, a short human-like person. Bilbo is quite content with his simple life and is settled in a comfortable hole in a big mountain, just like the rest of the hobbits.
He possesses a great deal of untapped inner strength, and the wizard Gandalf persuades Bilbo to join a group of dwarves on a quest to reclaim their gold from an evil dragon named Smaug. He ends up playing a crucial role as the company's burglar on a magnificent journey filled with all kinds of obstacles and surprises.
Gandalf. Gandalf is a wise old wizard who is very cautious about what he reveals about himself. He has an amazing ability to perform all different kinds of magic and tends to miraculously show up when he is needed most. He helps the dwarves complete their audacious journey across many lands, but is not interested in a reward of gold. Gandalf was their savior and helped Bilbo and the dwarves execute a master plan to steal their rightfully owned gold from an evil dragon named Smaug.
Smaug is the great dragon who lives in a deep, dark cave and sleeps on endless mountains of stolen gold. Years ago, Smaug heard about the immense treasure that the dwarves had amassed, and he drove them away using his evil powers. He stole the gold and transported it all the way back to his lair, where he guards it with his life. From his flaming breath that can scorch a city, to his huge wings that can carry him great distances, Smaug is almost completely impenetrable. Smaug is the ruler of the land until one lucky man discovers his weakness and ends up destroying the monster from within. Thorin Oakenshield is a brave and courageous warrior who plays a huge role in the plot of this novel. He is a descendant of extremely important dwarves and is the leader on the journey to overthrow Smaug and regain the Misty Mountains for the dwarves. Thorin is a very proud, stubborn person who enjoys acting as ruler or leader. His love for material wealth can sometimes get the better of him, but he is overall a good person to stand by. Now it is time that we get to the plot. This book begins when Bilbo Baggins was having a comfortable afternoon in his hobbit hole. His life was turned upside down by a visit from Gandalf the Wizard. Bilbo was chosen as his role of burglar in a new quest to let the dwarves reconquer Misty Mountain from Smaug the Evil Dragon. Life is tough on the road, and the dwarves and Bilbo encounter many hostile creatures along the way. They eventually outsmart them, at first with help from Gandalf, until Bilbo gets comfortable in his role as the burglar. Bilbo uses his magic invisibility ring, stolen from Gollum, a disturbed strange creature living among the goblins, to get the others out of tight situations. Thorin and company have few allies: Beorn the man-bear, friendly elves who know Gandalf, eagles, and at first the people of Laketown. However, they have a myriad of enemies. Eventually, Bilbo sneaks up on Smaug and manipulates him by finding a weak spot on his underbelly, where he can be pierced by an arrow or sword. Bilbo angers Smaug, and he unleashes his wrath on everyone around him. Bard the Lucky Bowman abruptly comes into play. He does not abandon Laketown like the others. With one last shot, he fires the arrow that kills Smaug. Thorin and company take over Misty Mountain, but all opposing forces possible want the golden gems. Bilbo has the Arkenstone, the most precious of the collection, which Thorin wants the most, in his possession secretly. He has a feeling that he should give it away to Bard and the Laketown men on the opposing side. Bilbo sneaks out and gives away the Arkenstone, and surprisingly finds Gandalf among the Laketown men. When Thorin finds out about the Arkenstone, Bilbo courageously mentions that it was he who gave it away. Thorin is of course furious, and sends Bilbo to the opposing side as a traitor. Goblin and the wargs approach to start a fight, and everyone else forms a united army. This is because everyone hates the goblins and wargs, which are eventually driven away or killed. Bilbo and Gandalf begin the long journey back to Bilbo's hobbit hole, after all conflicts are resolved. The book ends as it starts, with Bilbo comfortably back in his hobbit hole when Gandalf comes to visit.
Now that we know about the plot outline vaguely, it's time to talk about some of the more major themes in more depth.
Heroism.
Bilbo blossomed into a very brave character throughout the book. In the start, he wasn't very sure of himself. Bilbo was afraid of being relied on and thought he needed help from others. Over the course of the book, however, Bilbo became much more confident and less reliant on the others. He began to get himself safely out of situations where he was thought to be dead, and eventually got the dwarves out of similar ones. Another brave character in the book is Bard. Bard doesn't abandon the village of Lake Town, even though it's on fire, until he manages to kill Smaug. His bravery is much more out in the open and obvious, and therefore more celebrated. He is a clearly made hero. But Bilbo's form of bravery takes much more courage. He has never been on a journey before, and had never encountered the situations at hand. Still, Bilbo handles everything that comes at him, and is a true hero. Heritage. Bilbo Baggins has a very mixed heritage. On one side of his family are the Bagginses. They are a very respectable family branch, and would never be caught far from their hobbit holes. On the other side are the Tooks. They should probably be more respected, but as they go on dangerous quests and journeys, respectable hobbits don't think very highly of them. This is surprisingly a large part of the novel. Bilbo has always lived the typical life of a Baggins. No adventures, no quests, nothing. But when Gandalf comes a-calling, Bilbo's Tookish side begins to show. Bilbo is constantly arguing with himself, half of him wishing that he could be safe, warm, and fed back at his hobbit hole, and the other half being glad that he is adventuring with the dwarves. In the end of the book, Bilbo finds his home and possessions being auctioned off. He was presumed dead by his relatives. After Bilbo proves he is actually alive, some never trust him again, and others think he is going crazy. From then on, Bilbo's friends consist of those he made on his adventure.
We're mourning in the night.
The Invisibility Ring. Bilbo steals the ring from Gollum. Gollum absolutely loves his ring, or his precious as he refers to it as. It is a symbol of Bilbo growing into the role of burglar, and also foreshadowing that the role will be needed and a pertinent part of the quest from then on. The Arkenstone. Thorin would do anything to get the Arkenstone in his possession. It is beautiful, and people have thought of it forever. Bilbo has no trouble giving the Arkenstone to Bard when he thinks it will stop the war. This is a symbol that Bilbo has no intense desire for material possession, unlike others in the book. It also shows Bilbo is not greedy, and later in the book, he refuses to take much of the treasure and gives back to some of those he burgled from earlier.
To dungeons deep.
The Misty Mountain. The Misty Mountain is a symbol of the fear, hard work, and determination of Thorin and company. Throughout their entire journey, they had to remember that while it might be hard now, the Misty Mountain would be worse. It is also the final destination of the company.
To find our love.
Bilbo's small sword Sting. Gandalf gives Bilbo a very small sword to use, while all the dwarfs choose large blades. It turns out to be very special and helpful to Bilbo, for he keeps it well hidden and safe. This is a symbol of how important Bilbo is to the dwarfs. Bilbo, like his sword, is small and inexperienced at doing the sorts of things it is necessary he does. The dwarves at first doubted Bilbo, but ended up needing him more than they realized.
In conclusion, The Hobbit is a wonderful novel full of courage and bravery. While many characters possess these traits, Bilbo Baggins is by far the most heroic. J.R.R. Tolkien shows us through Bilbo that being a hero doesn't just mean being the strongest or the best. Being a hero means being courageous and strong, even when all odds are pointed against you.